Welcome to the Candle Business Coach Podcast, a show about the craft of candle making and small business. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I'm a candle maker, mum of three, and kindness advocator. Join me as I dive into all things candles and small business and deliver advice and tips to you in episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Are you on the list to get my daily motivation emails? Every day I'll send you a message that is designed to help keep you focused on taking action toward your goals. Sign up using the link in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by the membership for candle makers, the Candle Makers Collective. Becoming a member gives you access to fortnightly online group Q&A coaching sessions to support you, monthly online workshops and trainings to help you grow your business, plus frequent expert guest speakers to inspire and teach you. You'll also have access to an ever-growing resource library with templates, guides, planners, and ebooks. But my favorite aspect of the membership is our exclusive Facebook group for accountability, connection, and support. So if you're looking to take your candle business to the next level and learn more about the membership for candle makers, click the link in the show notes for the Candle Makers Collective. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend. I'm very excited today as we have another candle maker conversation, this time with the beautiful Alicia from Sweet Soy Candle Co. So Alicia, would you like to say hello to the listeners and introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Alicia. I'm from Sweet Soy Candle Co. Outside of that, I raised my teenage sister and I'm a crazy cat lady.
I love that. I love how you had to throw in the cat reference.
Yeah, always. Even my shirt has a cat on it.
Oh, it does. I love that. That's really cute. Now, I'd love to know how you got started with candle making, just for the people that are listening that have yet to make the leap into starting to make candles, or for those that are already making candles. It's always nice to hear different origin stories. So let us know how it all began.
In 2020, but it wasn't because of the pandemic like most people. One of my work colleagues suggested that I get my sister into candle making because my sister was going through a rough time and we thought it could be a good outlet for her. And I thought, well, if she's going to do candle making, I have to teach her. Like I have to learn it first and then show her. And then we done it. I Googled and aroma was 10 minutes from work. So I made like a click and collect order, brought it home, done it myself, showed her how to do it. And then she was like, I'm not doing this, you do this. She's like, you can just make me candles instead.
Oh, I love that. That's a good story.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how it started. But we were always obsessed with candles before that. If we didn't love candles before that, I probably wouldn't have done it. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's something that's quite common amongst all candle makers, is that we already have that love of candles, whether it's the scent or whether it's the ambience, whether it's just a combination of all the beautiful things that candles offer and the environment that it can give us to relax and, experience different things with our moods and emotions, to then think, oh, like, surely it's not that hard. Surely I can make them myself. And then you start to go down the path and you realize it's not as easy as just mixing wax and fragrance all together. There is a lot more to it. But I love that it starts with a passion of candles or from candles. And then the more you make, the more addicted you become to the process and you want to perfect it. You want to make these beautiful creations and make them as best as you can. And then you go from the hobby stage into the business stage where you then sell your products and people fall in love with them as well.
Yeah. And it was my brother and sister. They were my two little test subjects. They got all my candles. And it was because of them. I kept giving them candles. And then my brother was like, you just have to sell them. So
then where did the name Sweet Soy Candle Co come from? How did that come about?
I wanted to have a name that kind of represented me and had the word candle in it, which I know is against a lot of advice out there, but I wanted it for SEO purposes. And so people knew what it was without having to take another step to figure it out. So it's just a lot less work. People just look at the handle or the website and they know exactly what it is. So the word sweet is like, people always tell me that I'm too nice. So I thought sweet like incorporated that. So yeah, I just wanted something that reflected my personality.
And then, of course, having soy in the name is representative of the type of wax that you use as well.
Yes.
So let's step back for a moment and think about how we actually run, or sorry, how you actually run your business. How do you manage it all? How do you juggle work and taking care of your sister and taking care of your pets and building a business that is, as time goes on, becomes more and more successful?
The answer is I just do, if that makes sense. There's no other option. I mean, well, there is. I could give it up, but I'm not going to. I'm just someone that I don't think too hard about everything on my plate. I just try to get it all done, provided I'm in a good headspace.
Yeah, that is
So,
definitely key.
yeah.
And it can be
Yeah.
really challenging if you're not in the right headspace, because then you start to think there's actually a lot of work that needs to be done. And then we start to see it as work rather than enjoying the process and getting
Yeah.
to do it. We feel like we have to do it. And then it feels like a burden when really it's a joy. And when we don't have our mindset in the right place, that can impact, well, it does, it impacts everything.
Yep. I know that, there was a few weeks ago when I wasn't in the great headspace. And yeah, it was so much harder to get things done. So yeah, there's a lot of self-motivation that you need to have.
Yes. And it really depends on what your goals are. And if you know what you're aiming for, then you can use that as your North Star and work towards it. But when you aren't clear and you don't have that clarity, it can be all too easy to not necessarily throw the towel in, but just, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And as we know, tomorrow never comes. So
Yeah.
it's so important to find that self-motivation, have that discipline or build up that discipline and keep going and keep learning and growing. And every little win that you have builds up that momentum and helps keep that motivation going.
Yeah, definitely.
What's been your biggest win in your business so far?
I think just like the momentum that I have. It's weird that the business is only about 10 or 11 weeks old, and the amount of positive things that have happened in that period, it's like one thing after the other that's been really exciting and cool. Yeah, the fact that I've built up in such a short amount of time something, I guess, somewhat successful. Yeah, I think that definitely, the fact that there's just been so many positive things happen along the way, from going viral on TikTok and Instagram, or even just getting the first order, just all of it.
It's such a special feeling when you do get that ping on your phone when you get an order and you look and you go, oh, I don't actually know who that person is. Oh, wow, it's a
Yeah.
stranger off the internet. They've actually looked at my website. They've gone on this journey with my Instagram or with my TikTok. They've fallen in love with the product and then they've placed the order. Now, I would love to know a little bit more about you going viral on TikTok and Instagram. What's your secret to success? How did you do it?
I think that the ultimate secret is the first 1 second of your video has to be perfect and eye-catching and thought-provoking or controversial, something that gets people to stop in their tracks. And once you have that 1 second, it's easy from there. They can, as long as you keep them engaged. That's what I found. The times I've gone viral is the first second is eye-catching.
Yes.
So yeah.
I love one of the TikToks that you have on your account that I really love is the chaotic candle making. Do you want to share a little bit of the story behind that?
Yes. So I just wanted to make a TikTok video for just entertainment purposes, of a candle with sprinkles. And as soon as I hit the record button, everything started going wrong. The sprinkles just came out of the packet and went everywhere. I can't remember what else happened, but it's like every step, like I couldn't get the wick in, the quick wick thing wouldn't go on. Everything just kept happening. And I was like, well, I guess they can just have a video of how chaotic this is. And the hook that I got people in to watch it was the first sentence I said was, I heard a rumor that you wanted this video. And I think that's what sucked people in. And the sprinkles going everywhere.
What's really interesting is that particular video has over 1 million views. So if anyone that's if anyone that's listening to this podcast and is wanting to create content for either TikTok specifically or even Instagram Reels, when you create something that has that hook, has that interesting or controversial aspect in that first second, like you say, Alicia, that's what's going to set you apart from every other video that's out there that where people are just scrolling past and they're not stopping in their tracks. So what I think is really fascinating about that particular video is that it's fun, it's entertaining, and it leaves you wanting more. And when you look at one of your videos, at least from my perspective, and I'm sure your viewers are the same, they want to watch the other ones as well because they thought, oh, this is really fun. This is a fun account. This is a fun person. What else has she got to say? And what else can she show me? And then you build up that know, like, and trust. You click the follow button. Then you turn your followers into potential customers, into customers, and then you're generating sales from that, which I think is just incredible. But I'd love for you to tell me if you've had any challenges along your journey.
Most recently, and I think a lot of other candle makers are experiencing the same thing, with Aroma having no stock of the jars or lids or anything that you actually need to use. So that was a very frustrating thing, especially when they would tell like me one date of when they were going to have it in stock, but then tell other people they didn't know or they weren't sure. So I had to kind of pivot and be like, well, they're not going to have it in stock now. It was all of September. What's going to happen over the next few months? So I was like, I'm going to go to someone I know I can trust, which was Pure Candle Supplies. And I was like, I'm just going to switch to their jars. I trust that they will have them in stock. But I had never tested with them before. I tested with all of Aroma's jars. So I had to retest everything. So I closed the website for 3 weeks whilst I got the new jars and tested everything. And I've never burnt so many candles in my life in 3 weeks.
But it's true, like you need to do your due diligence and make sure that you're doing your testing. And that if you're changing the vessel, if you're changing the wax, if you're changing the wick, if you're changing the fragrance oil, or any additives or colors or anything else that you might be using, you absolutely have to retest your product. You cannot just assume that it's going to be safe because you're dealing with a flame. So you need to make sure you're doing the right thing by yourself and by your customers as well.
Yeah, and I was only switching from the Cambridge jar to the Sienna, which are so similar, and they're probably only centimeters apart. But none of my combinations for the Cambridge worked with the Sienna. So everything had to be retested. And I think I bought like 10 boxes of wicks to make sure I could get the exact perfect one. So yeah, you definitely can't just go ahead and change it, assuming because they're similar that it will work, because it didn't for me.
Yes. And that's the thing. If you don't test and your customer purchases that product, they're expecting an exceptional candle. They're expecting something that works properly. And if that candle is tunneling or if it's burning too quickly and is heating up the jar and it's becoming too hot to touch, that is an issue that can lead to something not great happening. Or even if it just tunnels, the customer won't be happy. They'll be disappointed, and then they'll assume that all your candles performing that way rather than just being a one-off that perhaps didn't work properly because perhaps they didn't let it go to the full melt pool before they blew it out for the first burn and subsequent burns. So yeah, it's definitely important to do your testing at every stage of the way whenever you're making or changing any factor in the candle making process.
Yeah, even just to like retest every year or so, even if nothing changes, just to make sure it's all still working. That's provided you don't burn your own candles. I do.
How can you not burn your own candles? They're too addictive just to leave sitting there. But it's true because the wax can change. You can buy the same wax from the same supplier, but it could be a different batch. So the components of the wax might be slightly different. And that's why it's so important when you buy a new shipment or a new case of wax or a new bag or however much you buy, to retest at each stage of that journey.
Yeah, and that actually did happen to me with one of the waxes I was using, because I use coconut soy, and I got a few DMs from customers telling me that their candle they didn't like the reset on it, and they sent me photos and it did. It looked quite shocking. And that can happen with natural waxes, but this was like it was beyond anything I'd seen. So I ended up changing waxes at the same time that I changed jars.
So it was like restarting your journey all over again.
It was, yeah.
Which is both fun and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
I just want to circle back to your social media strategy. What are some tips that you can share with us for those that are wanting to explore building their business on social media?
I definitely think being consistent is the number one thing. Showing up to stories daily. I'd probably say posting on Instagram like 3 to 5 times a week, because you want to, especially if you're new, you want to build up your Instagram profile. I know as a consumer, I like to follow Instagram accounts that use their stories daily, because otherwise they're just absent and I don't think of them. And I'm not going to buy from them if I can't see them. So
Yes.
I really like showing up to stories daily, but also kind of providing value as well, or showing behind the scenes so that people feel connected to you and want to purchase from you in the future, or when you post something and they see it. And for TikTok, I would probably say it's a lot harder on TikTok because no one knows how the algorithm actually works. My best tip if you're posting videos is to use 6 hashtags. And there are a few strategies out there, but the best one is use 3 hashtags related to the video and 3 related to your niche, so that it can send it out to the people that kind of watch those videos and are interested in that subject. And that way, your channel, the more videos you post with similar hashtags, then your channel kind of gets, at least from what I can tell, in the background of TikTok, it kind of gets like noted that you're like a candle small business, and then it will send out your videos to people who also follow other people that are in the same niche or industry, or at least that's what I've noticed.
That's a really good point you make about using the hashtags, because on Instagram, and we know that we can use up to 30, and a
Yeah.
few years ago it was recommended that you use all 30. Now it's recommended to use whatever you feel like, because who knows what the algorithm's doing. But I love the idea of using 3 that are specific for that video, and then 3 that are specific to your brand or to your niche, to help push out the content to more viewers, which is ideally what you want, because the more people that see your content, the more consistently you're posting, the higher the chances are that people will then become customers of yours, because they become familiar with your content and that you become a presence in their day, especially if you're doing it daily.
Yeah. And on TikTok as well, it's important not to get hung up on the follow account, because that actually doesn't matter. TikTok doesn't push out your video. Like, I think I have 3,000 followers. It does not push out my video to 3,000 people. It pushes it out to 200. If those 200 people interact with it, then it will hit the For You page. So it's not going in your followers' feeds, really. And I don't know why that is, because you'd think if you were following someone, you'd see their content. But even I don't see the people's content that I follow. So it's just all about the For You page.
Yes. Do you want to share some more information about that for those that might not know or understand how it works?
Yeah, so on TikTok, if you have an account, I'm pretty sure you have 2 pages there. People you follow and your For You page. And the For You page is where you want to be, because that is what everybody in the entire world on TikTok sees. I don't think many people use the following page. From what I can gather from my friends who use TikTok, and that no one's really going to that following feed, because the For You page will push out videos to you that you're interested in. So if you have one creator that you like to watch, it's just going to give you that video. So you'll get it in your feed no matter what. And the For You page is like, just honestly, I think it's just a bunch of random videos. And the more you interact with one type of video, the more you will get. But on your own TikTok, you don't want to be too broad with the subjects that you talk about or show, or you want to stick to your niche, because otherwise you will confuse TikTok and it won't know who to give your videos to. So then it just won't give them.
Yes, which is the opposite of what we're actually wanting to happen.
Yeah.
There's no point creating content if no one's going to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's this thing called the 200 view jail, where it's like you'll get pushed out to the first 200 people and then it won't go anywhere because no one liked it, or no one interacted or commented or watched it longer than the first second. And when you get stuck in that 200 view jail, that's when you know you have to change what you're doing, because it's just not working.
That's so interesting. Being able to pivot and learn the technology and realize that you have to be quite strategic with it. It's not just, I'll just push record and talk for a minute and then that'll be all I need to do. You actually need to think, all right, where is this video potentially going to be seen? What hashtags do I need to use? Do I have a hook at the start? Do I have a call to action? Are people liking and commenting and sharing this particular video? And if they're doing that, they're interacting on that particular video, what aspect of that has brought them to that decision, and what can I take into the new content that I'm creating? So it's there's a lot to it, but it's fun as well. This is part of the journey. Like, this is, you get to figure it out and have fun along the way, and then the people that your ideal customers will become magnetized to you the more content you're creating and doing it strategically.
Yeah, and a really good thing to do if you're just starting a TikTok account, if you've never posted, take 30 days and post a video every single day. Try different lengths of time, try different types of videos, voiceovers, try everything and see what works. And once something works, recreate it in other ways. And then you've got your perfect formula that people will come back to.
I love that. It's so good. And for anyone that is curious about Alicia's chaotic candle making video, we will link it in the show notes below so you can check it out, because it's a lot of fun. I'd love to know, what are your goals for your business?
I have some big goals. I would really love, and I think most people probably are in this boat, most candle makers, I really want it to overtake my income. But I kind of see that I would love in 5 years' time, I would love to spend the next 5 years just getting to know my business and growing my business. And then hopefully in 5 years, it's at the point where I can quit my full-time job and just focus on the business. But short term, I really want to get into wholesaling a lot more. That's going to be next year's focus. And then I just have like smaller goals, like new product releases and figuring out my labels perfectly, because those are frustrating. Even getting them professionally printed, I'm still frustrated by them. So I think it's just, I've got big goals, but like a lot of small ones before I get there as well.
That's beautiful. And it's so important to have those different stepping stones along the way. You can have a really big, audacious goal, but if you don't have those little markers along the way to aim for on the way to that big goal, sometimes that big goal can seem too far away, too out of reach, too unattainable. So by having those smaller goals within the goal, the journey of where you're headed, I think is really smart.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm someone who, if I just had a goal of in 5 years, I want it to overtake my income, but I didn't actually do anything in the next 5 years to get there. And if in 5 years' time, I'm just floating around still, it would be quite frustrating because, I didn't do anything. I just expected it to happen without actually working towards it. Yes. So I definitely need those little steps.
Yes.
And to make it feel like it's worth it too.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not all about the sales. It's not all about the income. It's the personal growth journey that you go on. It's the smaller wins that you have along the way that aren't necessarily financial, but it is also, okay, we need money to live. We want to have more freedom in our lives, and to have more freedom requires more money. And to do that, you need to make the best candle that you can make, so that you need to learn how to make a good candle and then keep tweaking and improving and growing and learning along the journey.
Yeah.
When you start your candle business, there are so many things to consider and research along the way, especially when it comes to choosing the right suppliers. Long Story Short provides all your design and printing needs, from your logo and branding to designing and printing your product labels. The quality is exceptional, the customer service is amazing, and prices are very reasonable. They're the only label company I recommend, so check out their website or send them an email today to get started. hello@longstoryshortdesign.com.au.
Speaking of little steps along the way, what's your weekly routine look like? What sort of steps do you incorporate into your week?
It's so different each week because it depends on how many orders I have that week. But mostly, whenever I get an order, so say I get an order like in the morning, then I'll make it that afternoon. I do things to order. So I guess it depends on the orders, and it depends on my full-time job and what I'm doing with that, and when I have meetings for that or customer visits or all of that. So I guess there's no real routine. It's kind of just dependent on what's going on in my life. So sometimes it's late nights doing things because that's the only time I have to do it. So yeah, there's not a set routine. I'd love if there was because I love routine. But
Yes. Yeah, I'm team routine all the way.
yeah, yeah, me
And when I
too.
get thrown off my routine, I sort of get lost and I'm like, I don't know how to operate in this space. I need to put my
Yeah.
blinders back on and get back on track.
Yes, and that's why I like that when I make candles, I put my headphones on and listen to a podcast or music so that I can just forget about the world and focus on what I have to focus on.
Yes, 100%. I love that. And even just like the process of making candles, like so many people that I've spoken to, candle makers, of course, they just lose themselves in a beautiful way in the process of making their actual products. And I love
Yeah.
how, like you say, you can put a podcast on or you can listen to some music and just let the world roll by while you just focus on this craft and make beautiful products.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what it's all about. Like, without the actual candle making, the rest of it's not there. So, yeah, I love getting lost in it.
Is that your favorite thing about what you do, or is there something else?
I think so. I actually weirdly love everything else as well, like the entire running of a small business and the millions of things that comes with it. There's actually nothing besides labels that I don't enjoy. Yeah, it's weird. It's like, yeah, everything that I do, I like, which is strange because, when you have a full-time job that you're being told to do things, you don't necessarily like everything you're told to do. So
True.
it's nice to have something that I love everything about.
Yeah, that's so lovely. And it's so nice to think that it's on your terms, like it's your business.
Yeah,
You can run it as however you like. You can put as much time and effort and energy into the business to grow it as quickly or as slowly as you like. It's up to you.
yeah,
It's your baby, it's your business. So when you're working full time or even part time or casual
yeah,
for someone else, it's someone else's dream. It's someone else's, maybe not your manager, it might be the owner's dream, but it's not on your terms. And especially in today's day and age and the economy the way it is, it's just a really wise decision to have something outside of paid employment because there's no
exactly.
guarantee that just because you've been in your job for 5 years or however long that it's the safe option anymore.
That's right. Yeah. And my previous job, I work in the air freight industry. I was there for 6 years and then we got a new manager and I couldn't be there because it was just frustrating every day mentally with this new manager. But if you'd asked me before he was hired, I would have said I'd stay there forever.
Yeah.
So things can just change so quickly.
Mhm.
And it's so smart these days to just have that your income diversified. I mean, not that with the candle business, it's not like you're really taking an income, but at the same time, you're building towards that.
Yes. And that is a huge misconception, is that you'll make candles and make millions. At
Yeah.
least in the beginning.
Yeah.
You need to go as go along as you grow. And these things take time. Yes, some people have quick success and they get to their goals faster. But don't forget that different people have different skills and abilities and experience and prerequisites when it comes to not only business but craft as well. So not everyone starts at the same starting block. So people's results will come at different times. And that's okay. It's about making sure that when you're on your journey, as long as you're continually improving in front of the person that you were the day before, that's what's important. It's not about being competitive or having that comparisonitis with other businesses. You just need to put your blinkers on and just focus on your growth.
Exactly. Yep.
What gives you motivation to keep going when you do have those tough times?
Lately, the Candle Makers Collective has been huge for my motivation because everyone's just so supportive and has advice when I don't have that motivation, because it is just me and my sister. And because we're sisters, we just tell each other things as it is. So when I tell her I don't feel great right now, she'll just say, you're fine. Get over it. Get up and make candles. I'm like, it's not that easy.
It's true. Oh, thanks, sister. I love you too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really nice to have the Candle Makers Collective because everyone in there understands and kind of has your back and can say, that sucks you're feeling like this. Maybe you can take these steps to feel better.
Amazing. That's actually a beautiful segue into my next question. So for the listeners that maybe this is their first podcast episode, or perhaps they've listened from episode 1, if so, thank you very much. That is amazing. Since this will actually be, I hope this is right and I haven't misjudged the numbers. This will be episode 100, which is amazing. So yeah, totally wild. So for those listeners that may not know what the Candle Makers Collective is, would you like to introduce it or give us a definition, perhaps?
It's a community of like-minded people, and it's just people who understand everything from the silly little things to the big things. It's just this really nice community where we catch up on Zoom and we have those monthly guest speakers. They're so valuable. So it's just a community with a lot of value.
Candle Makers Collective is also a paid membership through myself, the Candle Business Coach. And it's something that is open to all candle makers. And it's something that was created out of seeing that need for community and community over competition and collaboration over competition. And I absolutely love all the ladies in the group. We've got about 20 in the membership, which just blows my mind. And it's just incredible to think that even though, yes, we're all candle makers, there is no competition. It is about the supportive environment that we're creating and nurturing. And we can connect through the Facebook group, but also, as you say, on the Zoom meetings as well when we catch up each fortnight, which I love. I'm curious, though, what were your initial impressions when you first saw the Candle Makers Collective, like the actual sales page, if you will? Like, were you looking for anything in particular like this, or is it just something that jumped?
I don't remember. All I know is that I was on my phone at like 1 a.m. in the morning and it came up. I can't remember if it came up on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but it was definitely the middle of the night and I was like in my bed and I saw it and I was like, instant sign up. I was like, I need a place to go where people understand me, where it's going to be positive and not cutthroat like those other Facebook groups, and somewhere positive and like paying for it it's invaluable for what you pay as well. Like the value you get out of it versus what you pay per month is just, it's invaluable.
Thank you for saying that as well. I always love hearing feedback about how the membership's going from the members' point of view. But just circling back, the general Facebook groups where it can be quite cutthroat, it always disappoints me when there's an anonymous post that's made, because there's a vulnerability that you share when you ask a question. And when you ask a question and there are people that are commenting perhaps not positively, it can really tear you down. And if you're already feeling vulnerable and then you choose to do an anonymous post, it's almost like you're hiding behind that feature rather than standing in your light, because you know that if you put yourself out there, you may be criticized or pulled down, which is absolutely devastating. So that's one of the things I love inside the membership, is that there's no need for that. People can just post however they're feeling, whatever they're thinking, and there is that supportive community around you.
Yeah, it upsets me too. The other day I saw in one of the groups, someone got upset at another member for blocking them. But I know that person would have blocked them because the person would have been giving them such a negative vibe or feedback to the point where they had to block them. And I was like, first of all, you shouldn't make a post about someone blocking you. But secondly, that person was probably just protecting themselves by blocking them.
Yeah.
And it just made me so sad. It's just...
Yeah. It's funny, like being the Candle Business Coach, I'm in those groups and I'm seeing the sort of conversations that are happening. And I just want to like pluck all the vulnerable people that are in there and go, come hang out with us. There's a really nice place that exists that will support your growth, rather than, just because you ask a question that someone else knows the answer to, it doesn't make you less worthy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really sad when people post and they say, I've never made candles before, where do I start? And then you get 100 comments saying, buy a kit, buy a kit, buy a kit. It's like, I don't think that's the question that they're asking. And then the poor things like have 100 links to kits that they have to then try and go through. And
yeah. Oh man, I feel like we could talk about this for a long time.
Yeah,
but I did
definitely.
want to ask you just one more question regarding the Candle Makers Collective.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that is considering joining but hasn't yet joined the group?
I would say you're not going to regret it. Like, just do it, because why are you contemplating it? Just do it.
Just do it. I love it.
It's going to be worth it.
Speaking of things that are worth it, how would you define success? What makes it all worth it for you?
At the moment, success to me is honestly getting out of bed in the morning. This year has been a little bit rough for me, and I have experienced slight depression, which I've never dealt with before. I've had anxiety my whole life, but never depression. So to me, success at the moment is being able to get out of bed and not spending from 3 o'clock the day before to 3 o'clock the next day in bed. Like that, it was a very unsustainable way of living. I was that way for maybe 3 months. So yeah, just having the business to focus on and being able to get out of bed to focus on it, that's just my bar at the moment.
It's such a sobering thought to think that if you didn't have the business, where you would be perhaps right now in your mindset and in your life, but because your past self, past Alicia, said, I think this is the path for me. I want to yes, my sister is not interested in the candle making. It's just going to be me doing this, but that's okay. Yes. I'm gonna commit to this. I'm gonna make this something. And now you're just doing incredible things with your business. Now, of course, we have to shout out your Christmas candle, which I'm obsessed with. Do you want to tell the listeners about your Christmas candle?
Yes. So it is a sprinkle candle where your sprinkles will not fall off.
We all know what that's in reference to.
Inside. Sprinkles are inside the jar. So it's a clear jar. It's a Libby jar from Luxury Candle Supplies. And it's the 650 ml jar. So it's massive. It works out to be 500 grams of wax, which I really didn't think through. I'm going to go through a lot of wax in the next few days. So yeah, the sprinkle candle. So the beautiful white creamy wax makes the sprinkles just pop. It's so stunning to me. And then on top, it's double wicked as well, which I just love a double wicked candle. And then on top is 3 little gingerbread men that are colored like a kind of brown shade, but not an ugly brown. And then they're sprinkled with gold glitter. And when the gingerbread melts, first of all, it's really sad to watch them melt.
Oh, poor little gingerbread man.
But secondly, when it melts, the glitter kind of sits on top of the candle and it just looks so pretty. As it gets lower. It's just, it's beautiful. And it smells like maple. It's the maple pancake scent from Pure Candle Supplies. So it smells like maple and like cake and sugar, and it's so good.
Beautiful. For anyone who has smelled that scent, it is absolutely incredible. I'm a huge fan of Pure Candle Supplies. That's certainly no surprise for any of the listeners that have been listening to pretty much any episode. But that particular scent is just gorgeous. It's so decadent. And the double wick will just let off the best hot throw. So and even cold throw as well. Like it's beautiful.
It's incredible. Yeah, I walked into the lounge room when I was testing the candle. And I made a TikTok about it. It's like literally a couple of steps into the lounge room and I just got like whacked in the face with the smell. I was like, holy cow, this is the best candle I've ever made.
Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share about Sweet Soy Candle Co. or anything in general with candle making?
I guess if you're starting out candle making, I just want people to know it's okay to start out and not know anything. And if you can't find anything, that's normal because there's nothing out there. Like on Google, it's very hard. So that's why I love the Candle Business Coach brand, because it gives us those resources. But I definitely think if people are listening to the podcast or following you on Instagram, they're in the right place to start. And about my brand, I guess just watch me on TikTok and get a laugh.
Definitely follow Alicia on TikTok. You'll just have to. I love all the videos that you've created because, as I said earlier, like, they're entertaining, they're fun, they're lighthearted. And what's so fascinating is that even though you've had your struggles, you've been able to push past them at times to then create this content to make other people's day a little brighter, which I'm sure once you've created it, it will help to change how you're feeling as well, even if it is temporary.
Definitely. And the weird thing about always shoving a camera in my own face is that you kind of just know when to, like, you can turn on your persona, I guess, and then it does make you feel better because then you're in that headspace of, because I really do try to be entertaining on TikTok. That's why people use the app. No one wants to go on TikTok and then be sold to. So you do want to have that entertaining factor. So I know that if I'm trying to be entertaining for someone else, I end up entertaining myself or I just end up putting myself in a good mood because it's just, yeah, that's just what I'm trying to do for other people and it does it for myself.
So good. So good. Alicia, we have come to one of my favorite parts of the podcast where I ask all my guests 3 questions relating to candles. So question number 1, what is your favorite candle fragrance?
I cannot choose between 2 scents and I have been trying to choose for like 2 years now and I can't with them. They're on the same page. So I love Daintree Rainforest, Pure Candle Supplies. I love that in my bedroom, like reading a book or something.
Oh, yes.
It's just the best. I can't find joy better than that. Then from aroma specifically, because I've tried all of them and for some reason aroma is the best, the Brazilian Boom Boom fragrance. I don't know what it is. Maybe aromas is just not, it's not strong, but it's not weak. It's that perfect balance. And I love it. I love it in like the lounge room for like a cozy vibe.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. I wonder what would happen if you blended them together.
Oh, wow. I should try that.
That might not work. I don't know if it would work.
That will be strange.
I probably would do. Perhaps let's not try that. But if anyone's listening that happens to have those 2 fragrances and wants to blend and then send us both an Instagram message and tell us how it goes, that would be good.
Yeah, because they're like opposite ends of like, one of them's like gourmet kind of and the other's fresh. So I'm interested now.
Yeah. After this recording, you're going to go in and make a candle. Yeah.
I'll send you one.
Yeah, totally. Number 2, what do you love most about candles?
I think just the fulfillment and the joy that I get from making them and burning them. I just love the ambience when I burn them and the glow and the scent, and then making them, it just, as all candle makers would know, it just takes you to another place when you can really get in the zone, which I love.
And then the last question is, what is one piece of advice you'd like to give to other candle makers during their journey?
Be authentic and be yourself. Because if you try and be like another business or like someone else, probably won't succeed. So I really think people need to be authentic, especially in this day and age where there's so many copycats. There are people taking other people's ideas, which I think is okay to an extent if you're not copying. And I think you just come across better as a brand and a person if you're as authentic as possible to who you are. And it will be easier for you if you're being yourself.
Oh, 100%. It's not something you can't put on a persona of, copying someone else and maintaining that. People will see through the cracks. And it's just not a nice thing to do. Like no one likes to be copied, and you shouldn't like copying either, but you can be inspired by other people. And I heard a really great tip the other day. I'm trying to remember who told me the tip, but they said the difference between being inspired and copying is the amount of time it takes you to then take action on that piece of inspiration. So if you see something amazing and then you then copy it straight away, or then you then take the action straight away to replicate it, that's a different energy than if you let it sit for a couple of days and then take action, because your mind will be in a different place and more stimulus would have come in from other
Definitely.
sources. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was definitely inspired by that other sprinkle candle.
The one that shall not be named.
I was definitely inspired by it, but certainly, I mean, I wouldn't copy it if I was paid because it's not even performing well. But
No.
I know there are a few people out there trying to copy it, for I guess shock value on TikTok and stuff like that. But you can always take inspiration, like happily take inspiration from everyone, but just be yourself when you create the product.
Yes, absolutely. Live in your own truth and your own alignment. Stay in your lane, but allow
Yeah.
sources of inspiration to inspire you as well.
And I think consumers like different things. Like I don't think, at least me as a candle consumer, I'm not loyal to one brand. I will buy from 50 candle brands. And even though I make my own candles, I still go out and buy them because I love them so much. So you're not actually, no one is taking a customer from you and you're not taking a customer from someone. I really think that that's a misconception as well, that you're taking other people's customers just because you both sell candles. And I don't think that's the case at all, especially if you're authentic and your brand is true to who you are, then you'll be different. And that's what consumers want. They want you to be different or offer something different that they can't get from other places.
And the sort of person, the sort of customer that will purchase a handmade candle is very different from someone that will go to a big box store and buy something that is really cheaply made by a machine as opposed to by a person.
Yeah, especially when those candles contain nasty ingredients and it clearly says those ingredients and that person doesn't really care. But if you're someone who cares about the quality of your ingredients, then they're probably not your customer.
Absolutely.
Same time. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important to keep that in mind as well, that not everyone will be your customer. And that's okay, because if you know who your customer is, or if you at least try and understand who your customer is, that will make a big difference when it comes to, say, like going to the markets. You'll see lots of people walk past. It's nothing personal if they don't stop at your stall. They might not be looking for candles on that particular day. They might not be attracted to the scents that you have or the fragrances that you have on offer. But if you're doing what's right for you and that you're being authentic, the right people will come to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Alicia, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being on the podcast. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I just know that the listeners will have taken so much value from us chatting. Where can we find you online if anyone would like to connect in with you?
All of my handles are Sweet Soy Candle Co, which is rare these days that you can get them all the same. But luckily, mine are all Sweet Soy Candle Co on TikTok and Instagram. And yes, sweetsoycandleco.com and .au. There's another tip. Make sure you have the .com and .au.
And even just the .au and the .com.au.
Yes.
The three of them, right? Yeah. Gosh, there's so many different domains. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Once again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Thanks everyone for listening today. I hope this episode added value to your candle making journey. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout today's show, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks again for listening. Have a beautiful day.